Get Undressed. Hi everyone and welcome to Get Undressed for this new episode back in the UK, and very happy to be back in English as well and speaking to you all about fashion and behind the scenes. Today I have the pleasure of welcoming Marco, a celebrity and fashion stylist. What?
No, photographer.
A celebrity and fashion photographer. This is so weird because usually I never say celebrity and fashion photographer.
Yeah, I mean, because I work in fashion,
Yeah.
but then shoot celebrities.
True. So we actually met through a celebrity, and then you shot me, and and then I don't know, I started following your work and I was like, wow, there's so much more behind your work than what people can think when they first think about celebrity photography.
Yeah, I think one of the first things when I like shoot celebrities, I just always try and not like shoot them how everyone else tries to do it.
Yeah.
I just always try and do it in my own style. Obviously, that's hard to do.
The Marco style.
The Marco style. It's hard to do sometimes because there needs to be trust before you can do whatever I feel like I want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so let's start first by going back to the basics and the roots. I want to know where you're from, how you started, how did you decide to be a photographer, and more important, how did you do that shift from artistic photography to celebrity and to fashion, and what it entails? Because I'm sure there's loads of people, and I know there's lots of people listening to me who will be asking the same way you're asking about styling. What do you do to become a photographer, and how can you make it? And then there's this forever evolving world of fashion that people are really curious about.
Yeah. So my name is Marco. I'm from Switzerland. Moved to London about 5 years ago.
So you're basically a Londoner now.
Yeah, I am. Even though I sound Irish. That's weirdly people say. Yeah. So I studied business management back in Switzerland and worked in insurance for quite a few years.
Do you still have an insurance?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. It's just weird because like my parents and all my friends, they grew up in the similar circumstances. Like we all kind of did the same things. They all now work in finance and, insurance, any banking situation. And I always knew I was different. Like I always wanted different things. And it was just hard to do because, Switzerland is such a bubble.
Yeah.
So small.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just always kind of on the weekend took the train to Milan or like Paris just as a weekend getaway. And one day I saw that in Milan there was Fashion Week happening. I had no idea what it was.
Were you like, what the fuck is this?
I was obsessed because it was like a circus, like you see all those like Mercedes limousines, people running around with rails and clothes, and you're so curious, or I was so curious that the year after I took my camera from my dad and Googled like Fashion Week in Milan, and kind of because Milan is one of the only fashion weeks that basically present all the addresses, most addresses.
Yes, it's
so you can literally just find them online, and I find that amazing because it gives everyone a chance to be part of it.
Yeah.
And so I took my camera, my friends went shopping, and I just went off. And I remember so distinctively, it was the first show that I ever went to was Roberto Cavalli.
That's my favorite.
I know,
Fausto is like...
Back in the day, it was still Roberto.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Fausto. But it was incredible because I was 2012. And I remember it was like a huge, big place, and the first person that walked past me was Janet Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
huge.
And I was already obsessed. And then everyone else,
like, that's it?
It was like, it was insane because that's when like the street style started happening. That's when Instagram came bigger, like 2013 14, when all the influencers started creating their own companies. Like Chiara Ferragni, she did her blonde salad.
Yeah, and it was Garance Doré as
Garance
well.
Doré.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of like Anna Della Russo and everyone started to become bigger and bigger. And I just always knew that's where I wanted to go. And then I just kept going. And suddenly I was like, again in Milan and trying to get into a show, obviously like no accreditation.
How were you doing? Were you like, hey, I'm a photographer, can I get into the show? Or were you like, I forgot my pass? Like, how did you do that?
Basically, yes. So I was outside and someone, I remember all in black with a headset on, looked quite important.
Yeah.
In a back entrance. I just started chatting to them.
Yeah.
And then I explained that came from Switzerland just for this, but I couldn't find my accreditation anymore. And she basically was like, okay, fine. And I was like, what?
What? It's that easy?
It's that easy? It's not, by the way, guys. That's just beginner's luck. But yeah, she took me in. There was like 2 huge bodyguards who took me, and I ended up being on the platform taking like the catwalk photos.
But you know, I feel like at the time people were not like, fashion was so much more like closed off, and
yes,
social media wasn't such like a platform, so loads of people had no idea what it was, and in a way it made it easier to access if you were really interested in it. Like when I was studying, our teachers told us it's Fashion Week that week, so I was in Paris, and they said if you want to see shows, we'll give you 1 accreditation to 1 show. And then it was in a place called Le Carreau du Temple in Paris, next to the Louvre. And basically the rooms were closed off by like boards and curtains.
Oh.
And so you could go from one show to another through the curtains if you knew that they were connected, or through backstage, like the backstage areas were connected.
Okay.
So I used to go like that. I used to go to do like 6 shows in a row. But now it's like, this doesn't happen anymore. Like the security levels are very different. And people are so, I think, overwhelmed by the amount of crowd that wants to be part of fashion, that it's just very different.
It blows my mind nowadays. I stopped doing street style. Has always been my passion back in the day, because you can freely do whatever you wanted. There was no rules.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I've stopped doing it because there's so many people out there. Amazing, you know, people buying their like small cameras and just going out there, dressing up and, you know, trying to get snapped by a street style photographer. It's just so different now. Like I was at Prada the last show, and it was about, I don't know, maybe 2,000, 3,000 people outside. It was, people were on trees. Like literally they were climbing up on trees.
This is insane.
I think one of the main things obviously with TikTok nowadays and with Instagram is there's a lot of influence from like Asia as well. So like K-pop, like different countries. Yeah.
Brings craziness to a show like a K-pop star. It's insane.
It's something I've never seen. It's overwhelming and it's mad. Like I remember I was at the Ferragamo show, took photos of a K-pop star, and I was smart enough to post it straight away. So I was like, within a few minutes while the show was going on, I posted the photo on Instagram. And, you know, I do get some likes, but not like crazy. Within a few minutes, 10,000 likes, 600 comments, people knowing exactly what it is, who they are, what they're wearing. Like it's scary.
There's a level of fame that's very different than the level of fame we know.
Yeah.
But so wait, so you get into Roberto Cavalli and then you do the pictures and then you come back to Switzerland? Yes. And you're like, fuck insurances and fuck all of that. I'm changing life? Or?
No, I was still quite young, and then basically did a year abroad in London to learn English. And that's kind of what we all do.
Was it a year of party?
It was a year of party.
Yeah.
Mayfair, all the clubs, like 3 times a week. I was still straight, you know?
Your English, no way. You were still straight at the time?
I had a girlfriend, beautiful girlfriend.
In the UK?
From Sweden, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, we're still friends.
That's cool. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And so wait, did you make your come out when you were in London?
Yeah, so basically I went back after that year and I knew like I had to change something. And I just wasn't happy at all with like how I lived and how like I saw myself.
Yeah.
I just needed to go out, and basically my friend from language school from Germany, she had a room.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, it's hard moving somewhere where you don't have a job.
So hard.
Because without a job, you're not going to get a room, and without a room, you're not really
going to get
a job, and you're not going to get there. So she offered me a room in her house, and so I took it, basically came out, moved to London, and just started
amazing.
Doing photography, working in, oh my God, the best thing. I always wanted to work in Selfridges.
You worked in Selfridges?
Yes. I feel like all my friends and anyone and everyone has somehow one day worked in Selfridges.
I work things out in Selfridges.
See?
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I work things out.
Yeah. It's mad. Cause
which floor were you working at?
First floor, menswear Saint Laurent. Great.
Good one.
I just always went shopping there. So I was like, oh my God, it's a cool place. Something we don't have in Switzerland.
It's such a cool place.
It still is,
It
but
still
like it gives
is.
me PTSD nowadays. But I just like, you know, I would stay there and there was personal shopping next door, and I would have people come over like David Beckham, Kendrick Lamar, styled him.
No way.
Yes, he was wearing my Saint Laurent shirt. I sold him. Yeah. Boom.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a
that was a
moment.
flex, right?
That's a moment. Yeah.
We had so many incredible people come in every single day, and I was like, wow. And one day, basically a girl came in, a model, and her fiance is a big, like, how would I describe that? Really stylish guy, had his own fashion brand. I used to follow him back in Switzerland already, found it fascinating. She came over looking for a birthday present. I started talking to her. I said, I know who you are. I know who your boyfriend is. I would love to work for him. The next day...
Did you tell them you were doing pictures already?
No, I told them that I was like taking photos.
Yeah.
I'm really creative. You know, I would love to work for a fashion brand and get away from retail.
Selfridges, yeah.
So the next day, I couldn't believe who turns up.
The boyfriend.
The guy who I was always like admiring, turned up and started talking to me. He's like, hey, you know, my girlfriend came in yesterday and she told me what happened and he wanted to come and say hi. And I was like, wow, okay.
That's amazing. And that doesn't really happen often. Because it's like, it means you must have had some sort of impact on her.
Yeah.
Where she probably was like, because I guess those people, we know how it is. Like,
yeah, of course.
You know, people are always asking you like for time and attention and stuff like that, but you must have said something that was very different from the rest of the people. I just always, one thing I've never been aware of and everyone tells me is like my energy. Yeah. That like my energy is so amazing. Like it's so like open. Like I just always felt like everyone was the same. Like no one, you know, I never saw someone differently to who they were. Like to their actions, yes, but not to who they were. Yeah. And so for me, it always felt like any person can be an opportunity. Yeah. And it's so true. Yeah. So so he comes in and he's like, hi. And basically he was like, oh, you should come work for me. I'm like gagged, right? I was like, what the hell? Were you like, I quit, but I want to keep the reduction? Yes. Yeah. 50%. No, wait, do you still have it? No, I don't. I still know people, but... Yeah. So I quit a few weeks later. Other stuff happened anyways, and then I left, worked with him. Basically, it took me quite a while because I reached out about 5 times until he answered. Busy man. But I feel like that's a classic, right? Yes. Yeah. Always like this. One no is never a no. And that's one thing I've learned. Yeah. You always keep going. You have to keep going. You have to push, and you have to show people that you want this. Yeah. Because I think the difference between like one person, between you and the rest of them basically, is how are you going to be able to bring them something that's different from other people. Agreed. And how much perseverance you have. Yeah. And that shows. Yeah. Yeah. So I started working for him, did his social media and PR a little bit, and just saw, you know, was organizing photo shoots, organizing influencer giftings, and was doing the admin in the store, like his Instagram, the brand's Instagram. So he was really well connected. So loads of celebrities come in and out. And basically just before COVID happened, I was just a bit like, I wanted more. Yeah. I wanted more money, yes, but also more responsibilities. Yeah. And he couldn't give that to me at that point. So I then left. And maybe you had learned everything you had to learn from that job. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah. I think so. And then funnily enough, someone got in contact, not knowing who they were, and started working for their brand. Obviously, I'm always a bit naive. I basically sometimes when I work with clients, I don't really know them that well, which maybe is the best thing to do because you don't get nervous. Yes. Yes. So yeah, I worked for a woman who her husband was the founder of Net-a-Porter. And that was also, again, a great connection, and worked for them for almost a year into lockdown. And yeah, and that's how it kind of started. And then basically our contract ended. I broke up with my boyfriend back then. My landlord sold the house. They were like, that's a lot. Yeah, you know, they were scared of Brexit and everything. Yeah. So they sold it. We broke up. I lost my job. Done. You know, I had nothing. Yeah. So but when you have nothing, you have nothing to lose. Exactly. So I moved back home to Switzerland,
worked in insurance for 6 months, saved every penny I could, came back to London, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try it.
Yeah.
I'm going
And
to
you
try
had
it.
all the contacts,
Yes.
right?
I had all of it. I just needed to start in the industry somehow, working for free, working small jobs, working anything you can get at any time. And yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah, but look how far you've come. That wasn't so long ago either.
Yeah, it's funny. Today are the British Fashion Awards, and my big breakthrough was the British Fashion Awards 2 years ago.
I had a moment, I was like, oh my God, I told him let's do Monday. And then I was like, today's Fashion Awards and he's going to be working until like 2 a.m. And I'm like, do you want to record a podcast this morning?
No, yes.
Tonight you're going to hate me. You're going to be like, oh, this bitch. But it's a full circle then. In a way, maybe it's the best day to have you on the chair. So
yeah, thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming.
It's interesting, yeah.
So how is it for you? Obviously, you do a lot of celebrity photography. You do those events. I'm sure there's a lot of different sides to events like the Fashion Awards. Like there's the red carpet, there's inside, there's the after party, people who get ready and all of that. How do you approach that? And how is it to also be working in a place where there are so many iconic people? How do you know, like, right now it's the right time to take the picture of that person and not that person who's equally as famous and iconic?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I'm always scared to like miss an opportunity because, you know, I sometimes see the photo without taking it. Yeah. And that's the hardest.
Oh, that's so hard.
When you know that was the moment and, you know, you're not going to get it back.
Yeah.
And I think nowadays it's just instincts, knowing which person sits on which table. You just have to be very aware of your surroundings and knowing where shit goes down. And, you know, sometimes you force it. Sometimes you scream at someone literally across the road or like across the table. And it's like, you now here. And luckily, I'm at this point now where people enjoy taking photos with me. And I know most people in the industry in ways where they trust me. So we can work on something amazing. And because they give me the time, I can then give them a great photo, which then means win-win, right?
Yeah.
So I think like the sneakiest thing I ever did was that British Fashion Awards 2 years ago. I sneaked in.
How did you sneak in there? How did you sneak in the Fashion Awards? Like the level of security at the minute is absolutely wild.
I know. It's all fake it until you make it, really.
And then they'll pay your way in.
Exactly. I was with a client doing like getting ready shots in a hotel in London, and was with them in a car, drove to the Fashion Awards. It was ice cold. They were really early. Gave her my coat because she was obviously like half naked in a dress. We stood outside. She went in, and basically her makeup artist had the entry, like the invitation from the table. He came out to me, gave me the invitation because there was no set seat on it. There was just the table number. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to grab it. I'm going to walk in. And if they stop me, they stop me. If they don't, they don't.
They don't.
I hid my camera, literally walked straight in, just walked past everyone, sneaked through security. I was just like hiding, you know, like just walking behind someone important, whatever. It's just, And then I was in. And then 5 minutes later, I was taking photos of like Adriana Lima, like literally on the table, like moving around. And I was
God.
Yeah.
Were you like, that's a moment in life I'll never forget? Or were you just like, oh my God, there's so much, I can't take it?
Both. I think it was like that evening just went by and I was like, what just happened?
Yeah. But were you realizing that that's going to be a big moment in your career that's going to change something?
It was, and it wasn't. Like, I never thought I would get into like event photography more as well. Like, obviously I do fashion and celebrities, but also do big events. And I just somehow got into it and got more and more requests for that. And ended up working for like loads of fashion shows, like after parties. Met Gala I did last year, photographed Kylie Jenner.
How was the Met?
Jean-Paul Gaultier. I wasn't actually in the Met Gala because obviously that's like the biggest security you can get anywhere. But you know, pre that, it's all about that anyways these days. It's about the pre-shoots.
It's kind of like the behind the scenes of
Yes.
the leading up to the event,
Yeah.
which is basically what we see on social media now,
Yeah.
like the get ready with me and all of that.
Yeah. I've had big events and people go for the picture and sneak out.
Yes,
Like,
so
literally,
many.
even in
so
yeah,
many.
so many
and the
do
Cannes
that.
Film Festival, how many people
Yes,
go
I was
to
gonna
the
say.
red carpet and they don't watch the movie? They
Yes.
just come out.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, if you're wearing like an haute couture dress,
Yeah.
trying to sit in a
No,
in a
you can't.
cinema chair, like, you know, you're not gonna want it. But it's interesting. I blew my mind how many. I get it now because there's so many opportunities. People don't necessarily take it anytime.
No.
You know.
And I think about Cannes, what blows my mind is the level of like bad taste that there is in a place like that when, you know, it's supposed to be the elite of fashion.
Yes, it's where people can buy themselves in, right?
Yes, a lot.
Fashion awards as well, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
If you know some people, if you can buy the tickets, you get in. And it's nowadays where a lot of people through social media pretend to be someone. Like they might be someone, but they pretend to be.
It's a lot easier to pretend.
Yes, just knowing that a lot of people fake it.
Yeah.
But like lying and faking is different. Like you can tell someone a real story and be like, look, I would like to get in, and maybe say, you know, that's at the end.
I lost my invite.
I lost your invite or whatever. And if they don't give you a chance, fair enough. But like, actually,
you're not lying about who you are.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
Exactly. That's just difference. And yeah, I just blew my mind that it happened.
It's happened quite a few times as well. And I think what's really interesting is it's happened to me a few times where people reach out to me and pretend to be someone that I've worked with, and I'm like just trying to remember, have I actually worked with you? Like, and then I'm like, no, I have not. Like, I really don't know you. And then I realize, oh, they're a super fan of one of my clients or something like that.
Yeah, I've had that many times.
So how is it working with celebrities? We obviously, both of us work with celebrities, but in a very different, I guess, way and surrounding. How is it for you, like, creating also an emotion in a picture of someone who's getting their picture taken all the time and who often have a very specific idea of how they want to look like? How do you go past that?
That's a good one. I think knowing them a certain way, like going through their Instagram, knowing their aesthetics and what they like is already really important.
Yeah.
Then for women, usually I ask if they have, you know, a preferred side. Do they like the angle from down up to make their legs longer, or from up down because they might have a bit of a chin? Like, it's just certain ways people feel they want to be photographed. And then from there, I just try to, like, you know, adapt my lighting, adapt my angles and everything. And it's usually most important is to do approvals. So every single person wants approvals. Like nowadays with me, yes, maybe they trust me, people that I work with all the time, and I will do the selection myself because, you know, I take so many photos at a time. I just send them like a selection of maybe 20 photos and they can choose, and then I either retouch them or they do it themselves, and then they post it and send me the ones they've selected. It's hard to do it because, you know, sometimes instead of having an hour to shoot,
you had 5 minutes.
No, it was less. It was I got her walking down to the car. That's all I got.
Oh my god.
So she wasn't even, she did pose a little bit at the end, but it was basically like, make it happen.
She had to wait for someone to open the door.
That's it. And for anything else, I just, you know, walked with her, snapped whatever I could. And that's super challenging because, you know, you've got this pressure. At the end of the day, someone just looks at the photo and sees the end product, right? They see the photo. They don't see how long it took you to take it. They didn't see how long you had time. So I think that's the hardest. I think compared to a lot of studio, I don't do much studio photography. I would like to, but for me, I think sitting in a studio and preparing a photo, yes, it's also challenging. But you've got hours of you've got like you've got change every single you can change every single step.
Yeah.
And with me, you've got about 1 second for a shot, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge.
And you don't get it back as well.
You don't get it back.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's happens a lot where I literally just have a few seconds, and somehow I try and make it work every time. It's really challenging.
You do make it work though.
Yeah,
do.
it's yeah.
And how, like, let's talk a little bit about fashion.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I know you also do fashion pictures, editorials. Like,
Yep.
how is this? First off, how is it for you? Because I guess there's so many people who will come to you and ask for event and celebrity pictures without thinking that you can actually do a fashion story equally as well.
Yes.
How frustrating is that? And how do you deal with kind of like the different sides of your job and make sure that you have enough time to do editorials when you I know you, I know how much people reach out to you for pictures. It's insane.
Yeah.
And also, how do you do that without an agent?
Yeah, it's now challenging.
Yeah.
Like just the last, I would say, half year, it's been really challenging because I also usually don't have an editor and I just do everything myself.
You're a one-man
show.
job.
And yeah, so I would say usually the organization itself is quite hard. But then, wait, I just lost the question.
So the question was, how do you deal with the different sides of your job? Because you obviously do a lot of celebrity events, but you also do fashion. And how do you do to make sure that people know that you can do fashion equally as well as events and celebrity?
And celebrities, yeah.
And is it frustrating when, for example, big magazines will reach out and be like, can you do pictures of that event? Or can you do pictures of so and so? And you're like, I could also do picture of so and so for in print for the magazine.
It's hard because I guess fashion and editorial work is so different to like doing what I do. I do a lot of online articles. So we would do like a getting ready with a big celebrity and corporation like Fendi or Bottega or whoever would sponsor it. And it's usually during fashion weeks. So during fashion weeks, that's where I can be most free and that's where I do most fashion. I know I do a lot of things and sometimes you just need to go for it and see if it works. And I guess people trust me with the photography. So I feel like with certain things, it's kind of the same. Like, you know, the aesthetics is the same. So it doesn't matter if I shoot a wedding, if I shoot an event, or if I shoot a celebrity, it's the touch you have. And I've even done quite a few weddings now, one that got featured in Vogue Italia, which now I get a lot of requests for weddings. And I always tell them, look, I'm not the conservative traditional photographer, so you're not going to get this like group family picture. Like
you're going to get the emotion.
You're going to get the emotion, you're going to get the fun parts, you're going to get the like intimate photo. And that's what I do. And I think that can be translated to fashion and editorial
100%.
work for sure.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it as much because I feel like editorial work is always very serious. Yes. It can be very private. It can be very intimate with some photographers. It's just sometimes it gets so big that it loses the like. It's about the fashion. Yeah, exactly. But it sometimes loses the emotion because you need so many photos, so many editorials for magazines. Every month there is an issue coming out for whatever. So yeah, I just would like to do something a bit more private with someone that I'm comfortable with. Yeah. And there's something coming. Can't tell you yet, but I'm really excited.
That's amazing.
So yeah.
Okay, so what would you advise someone who wants to get into photography and who doesn't want to take like the go-to photography school road?
Which I didn't do either.
Yeah.
So it's hard, you know, because it's so expensive these days to go to a school.
Yeah.
Especially as an international student.
Yeah, I love that. You arrive in London and they're like, oh, you're not English? It's going to be double.
Yeah, literally. It was like, for me, it was like £18,000 a year. What? Like, who can afford that without, you know, just the fees for school? I think I've got this question asked a lot lately, and I would suggest anyone that starts or wants to start in photography or in like working in certain ways with influencers, with celebrities in fashion. I think it's important to be open, be very open. So it means like can be spontaneous. Like if someone calls you last minute, you know, certain times you just have to drop everything and just go, even if it's unpaid. Do a lot of unpaid work in ways where, you know, people give you an opportunity that can take you to a fashion show
Yeah.
I do that with some people still now. I always say I'm either free or expensive. I'm like nothing in between.
I'm either free or expensive.
It's true, because I feel like if there's an opportunity to go somewhere where I can't get the access with, yes, I'll do the photos. And yeah, so I feel like do stuff for free, be very open to everything, and a no is never a no. So like ask again. There might not be an opportunity now, but there might be one in 6 months. You never know. I've had so many people that I met and I like instantly was following up.
Yeah.
And they were like, look, no idea. Then maybe a half a year or a year later, they come back and they're like, oh, I've just seen your photography somewhere. I would like to work with you.
And sometimes it's really that thing of like popping up in people's mind at the right time. Like, so people won't think about you. And sometimes I see it for styling. I'll run into like a producer in the street and we'll be like, oh my God, haven't seen you in forever. And then the day after I get an email about, oh, by the way, are you free for that job? It's kind of like right place, right moment,
time.
right time.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why I do events still, because I feel like our community is like, our network is so small, especially in London. It's quite hard to get into that circle because it's small and everyone knows each other. Once you're in it, there's always opportunities. Like I get most of my jobs when I actually work. So through work, I get more work. And that's like something, obviously it's hard when you want to start fresh, you know, like when you get into it. But there's always going to be a chance somehow, somewhere with someone. Yeah. And will open you a door, and you just need to be awake enough and, you know, need to realize it and take it.
And do you feel like, obviously right now you're working with the biggest publications, the biggest people, like, do you feel like you've achieved what you wanted to do, or do you feel like that's just the beginning? Is that just the beginning?
That's just the beginning. For networking reasons, it's amazing. I've met so many people, like most amazing people. I always get this one question asked, which people, you know, that don't work in my field or our field, and they're like, who's the biggest asshole in the industry? And who's like the nicest person to you and whatever. I'm like, how can you even ask this question? Because everyone has different moods. Anyone can be an asshole one day if they, like, you know, woke up different side of bed.
If you wake up in a bad mood.
In a bad mood, or like something happens, maybe they're like, they're a parent and something has happened and they're stressed and they still need to, after like hours and hours of traveling, still need to do the shoot. Everyone can be in a mood sometimes. Yes, some people can be more cold, but that can also be a reason. Like they might be, you know, want to be more private. And I think just once you open up and once you share your private life in ways, they will come to you. Just let them, like, don't push them. So yeah,
it's so true. And I think it's sometimes people when they ask you, like, so who's the biggest asshole you've worked with, they have this idea anyway of who you're gonna say it is.
Exactly.
Which most of the time is not.
Yes.
And I feel like when you work with people who are in the public eye, the public often has a very twisted idea of who those people are. And it's like, you know that person from an Instagram account, from pictures, from, like, it's not even moving. Yeah. You heard their songs or you've seen their movie, but you have no idea who that person is in private life.
Yes.
And it's the same for me. I get those questions asked all the time, and I'm like, you'd be surprised who's the biggest asshole. Yeah. Because that's probably the person you would least expect.
Also, most people are nice. You just need to, like, you know, it's obviously like they might have a wall towards some sort of people, like fans or whatever, sometimes where they have to be professional. It's like a lot of, you know, things are online for whatever they're doing. So it's sometimes hard. So I think most people that I've worked with, I've not really had many negative experiences. It's just how you approach it as well.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
So I've got something for you.
Yeah.
Let's manifest what we want for 2024, and then in December 2024 you can come back in this chair and we can talk about the year. How does that sound?
That's really cool. Yeah. Little time capsule.
Okay, so let's do five
things. They're big.
Yeah,
because I feel like I've
you know one thing, I think when people manifest, often they're like, oh, I'm not going to put that because it's unrealistic that it's going to happen. Yes. So I'm not going to put it on my manifesting list. So they kind of like de-manifest in a way, the manifesting list, because it's like, if you are wanting to write down or point out what you really want for your future and your biggest dream, why would you put something that's not your biggest dream? Because you think it won't happen.
Yeah.
So why,
Yeah.
you know, it
It's up
makes
to
no
you,
sense.
right? It's like you're not doing it for anyone else.
Exactly.
So I would say my biggest one is a cover.
Yeah.
I think one of the obviously big publications, but I would love to shoot something like a cover story.
Yeah.
Because I know I can do it. It's just takes trust in a photographer, especially someone that's quite young and still quite new in the industry. I think I would love to do some personal photography for someone big and maybe travel with them with their tour. You know, maybe get to see a bit more.
Like almost documentary vibe.
Yeah, almost like documentary, like fashion, like almost like documentary fashion photography, where someone like, shout out to the most amazing Rafael Pavarotti, who amazing, did an editorial with Beyonce while she was on tour.
Yeah.
So she had a concert. You guys need to imagine, like she had a concert, and while she was changing her like outfits backstage, they shot an editorial.
Yeah, I love that.
Like,
yeah,
amazing. Mind-blowing. So I'd love to see it, you know, get a bit more of a connection with someone like that, and not just have a few minutes with them or a few hours, but maybe a few days or a few weeks.
Just to get to know the person.
Just to get to know the person and, you know, be able to be more creative, because, you know, every time you do work, you obviously see something you would want to change.
Yeah.
So working with someone for a longer time, you can then adapt and get to know them so well that you know what they look like best. And yeah, so I think definitely that, and just in general more print. I just feel like we need to support print.
Yes.
I think like everything is digital.
You know, I love digital, but I love print.
I love print because it's something forever. Like I do a lot of these things that happen now and they don't really matter tomorrow because, you know, I send them the photos instantly. They want stuff posted the next morning. Like so many times I edit until 3-4 in the morning, and then the next morning at 9 it's on Vogue. It's out. It's hard because like it's so much pressure, and then sometimes you're tired and you do so much that you might, you know, not be able to do the best work. No. So I think, yeah, I'm really excited.
Cover, tour, print. Cover, tour, print.
It's big ones. What else?
What about personal life? We haven't even talked about personal life, so we need to talk about that another time. But
yes, personal life, I just feel like I want to be more centered again. I want to be more taking care of my mental health. That's important because doing all that, and you know, as much fun as it is, and you know, everyone is always like, oh my god, you're in this world and whatever. It's just at the end of the day, it's just a job as well, right? So like I come home and it can be tough and can be long hours and can be, you know, fashion week when I'm doing New York, coming back with a jet lag straight into work in London, then, you know, Milan, Paris, and then keeps going. And nowadays, like every month there's something. Yeah, it's just non-stop travel. It's exhausting. So I want to, you know, focus on that a little bit more. And yeah, and then at the end, just keep my relationships going. Like people like you, we've met through a photo shoot, and now we're like here talking, and we like
it's so cool.
We're like non-stop sort of in contact, but not like I see your work. I think you see my work. Yeah. We work with the same people, but we might not see each other.
Yes, it's always weird. Like oh, you've seen Marco? How is he? It's kind of like we take news through people, and then we also like chit chat.
So she would like shoot my client. She would style my client, and she would do her work, and then the person would then go to the event or would go to my photo, like my location, and I would shoot them, knowing that you've touched them with your styling, and I find that so weird.
We have to do editorial together.
I would love to.
We have to.
We should. I'm excited. I just want to keep the relationships going. I think that's a thing people don't realize is it's not about the now. It's not about the photo right now. It's not about, you know, certain things they risk their career for a photo. I'm like, why? Like, why? Because you're scared that you're not gonna have this opportunity with this person again, you're not doing the right job. Because I feel like if you're doing the right job, you'll see this person, especially when they're like bigger names, you'll see them again. So the chances that you'll see the person and photograph the person again soon will happen. And I'm patient, you know. That's why I'm here. Like, you know, I'm patient. I'm waiting.
It will happen.
Yeah, it will happen.
2024.
It will happen. You
It
never
will.
know.
Yeah.
You just, yeah.
Okay, Marco, where can we find you?
Yeah, everything is on Instagram these days, isn't it?
Tell us your Instagram. So people can find him.
Yes.
And then they can harass you and be like,
No,
can you take
please
pictures
don't.
of me?
Send me an email. I don't see messages that much anymore. Yeah, it's just my name. I'm Marco.Bahler. And that's my Instagram.
So I feel like there's a lot coming for you. And I'm really
Thank you.
excited to see all of that.
Thank you.
And everyone, we see you in 1 year. And we're going to do the same podcast again. And we're going to talk about everything that happened in 1 year. And I'm sure you're going to be really surprised.
I hope so.
Yes.
This is pressure, guys.
No, this is not pressure.
No, it's not pressure.
It's not pressure.
Just manifestation.
It's a very safe environment. Look, we're wearing our nice little
Yes.
robes as if we were at home.
GCDS, baby.
Yeah, I love GCDS.
Yes.
It was one of the first brands where I really connected, actually. I was like, this is something that
Yeah.
speaks to me
Yeah.
in terms of street style and streetwear.
Oh, yeah. And he's so modern nowadays. He's so
He
like
is.
forward thinking. Like people wear him like Dua and
Yeah.
Dua Lipa, and they love him.
He's fucking genius. Well, Marco, it's been a pleasure having
Thank
you on
you.
the podcast.
Thank you,
I
Adele.
hope I'll see you before, but I'm sure I will because we're going to do editorials together.
Yes. Merci, merci.
Merci. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Guys, you can find Get Undressed on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, everywhere. And then if you have any questions and if you like this episode, you can send me comments, and please find me on Instagram as well, Adele Kenny. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Bye.